Good evening. I'll call this meeting of the Castleberry Independent School District Board of Education to order. Let the record show that a quorum of board members is present, that this meeting has been duly called, and that notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. And as a reminder, we are here for what is best to promote and encourage achievement for every student in our district. Right now, I'd ask you to stand with me as we have our invocation. And now we have the Pledge of Allegiance. Ms. Gallman, sorry. We appreciate you being here this evening, and we always welcome communication from citizens of our district. Individuals who wish to participate during the portion of the meeting designated for public comment shall sign up with the presiding officer or designee no later than 1 p.m. the day of the board meeting, and shall indicate the agenda item or topic on which they wish to address the board. Ms. Branch, do we have anyone who wishes to speak to the board this evening?
No, we do not.
Thank you, ma'am. Item number 5, Ms. McFaulkner, are there any questions called in regarding the consent agenda?
No, Mr. Board President.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. We'll go on to item 6A, tax attorney report. Mr. Wooten? Ms. Fernandez, maybe?
Yes. Yes, at this time, Mr. Board President, we have Elena Fernandez, representative from Brandon, Purdue, who will provide an annual update of the collection of our delinquent property taxes.
President, Superintendent, and members of the board. My name is Elena Fernandez, and I'm here this evening with my colleague and fellow partner, Elizabeth Bandacalvo. On behalf of Purdue Brandon, thank you for the opportunity to present and provide y'all with an update of our delinquent tax efforts. We appreciate the confidence that Castleberry ISD has placed in our firm, and we are pleased to share the progress we've made on the district's behalf. I'll begin with what I believe is the most important statistic in tonight's presentation. And I'm going to say, go to that next slide. All right. For the 2024 tax year, which represents our first 12 months of collections, we have collected 85.78% of the delinquent tax levy that was turned over to our office on July 1st of last year. The adjusted delinquent tax levy totaled approximately $494,202. And through June 30th, we have reduced that balance from that $494 to just $70,279.15 remaining. That's an excellent first-year collection rate and reflects the ongoing work that our collections team has done in contacting taxpayers, negotiating those payment agreements, and pursuing legal action when necessary. Go to the next slide, please. So this right here, just so you know, is a breakdown of where all of the accounts are right now. I know you guys might see, oh, what is that all in litigation? That seems to be a very large percentage. But I just wanted to let you know with that breakdown, that is 116 accounts. 46 accounts are business personal property accounts, of which 24 accounts are all partially subject to the statute of limitations, so they should roll off. 34 accounts are mobile homes, of which 23 are also subject to a statute of limitation purge. We have 36 accounts that are real property. 6 are now either over 65 or have a deferral. 10 are making payments. 8 are in judgment, ready for sale pending our title work updates and confirming if they're homestead or of age of the homeowner. 11 are actually active litigation, and then you've got 1 that's just now in bankruptcy. So that percentage might be overwhelming, but they've already, for the most part, that's what that litigation slide is. And we can go to the next slide. Okay. And finally, I'd like to briefly touch on our current tax year. And what this is what just turned over to us on July 1st, just a few weeks ago. Now, I just want to point out, before there's been questions, are people actually paying their taxes? Well, going into this tax year, 97.77%, that's 98% of your taxpayers are paying on time. And less than 3% is being turned over to us. So we're just going to do our collection efforts on that 396,141 to see what we can do. We had a great year last year. We're anticipating having another standout year. The turnover this year is lower, about $100,000 lower than what it was last year. So we are confident that we will get that taken care of. In closing, we appreciate the opportunity to serve Castleberry ISD and remain committed to maximizing collections while treating taxpayers professionally and respectfully throughout the process. Our role is simple: to help recover delinquent tax revenue so those dollars can be returned to the district to support your students, teachers, and daily operations. Thank you again for your time this evening, and Elizabeth and I would be more than happy to answer any questions that you may have. Any questions? All right, may I be excused?
Thank you. Thank you, Ms.
Thank
Fernandez.
you.
Thank you, Ms. Cobble.
Wait, I'm so used to court. May I be excused?
Item 6B, Ms. Martinez.
Yes, Mr. Board President,
Hold on,
at this
Mr.
time, we have Stephanie Martinez, Director of CTE, and Manny Saldivar, College Career and Readiness Advisor. They will present a summative review of your House Bill 3, College Career and Military Readiness Goals that we had in the annual progress measures for the 25-26 school year.
Good evening, board members. Tonight we will be reviewing our House Bill 3 summative data for college career military readiness. We are incredibly pleased with the outcomes as they are reflective of the hard work that we put in this last year to ensure that our students not only meet their goals or our goals, but more importantly, we help them meet post-secondary measures to help them outside of Castleberry Independent School District. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Saldivar, and he's going to review the data points with you.
I also wanted to interject, you have a copy of the House Bill 3 goals on paper that he's referencing.
Thank you. Good evening, board. Tonight's a night of celebration. As you can see, there's going to be lots of green that we will be discussing today. So our overall goal is to ensure that every Castleberry graduate leaves high school prepared for success in college, career, or the military. As a district, we established a 5-year goal of increasing our CCMR rate from 98 to 99%. While our accountability data is still preliminary, just a friendly reminder that our data is lagging behind and final results won't be released until 2027. However, I'm excited to share that our current preliminary data indicates 99% CCMR. So let's give a round of applause for that. This is an incredible accomplishment and one worth celebrating. Let's recognize all the students, the families, and the educators, and all the leaders that play into the role of CCMR. While we're proud of reaching this milestone, our work doesn't stop here. Our focus now is ensuring that students aren't just CCMR complete, but that they graduate with strong, high-value post-secondary outcomes that position them for long-term success. The next several slides highlight the House Bill 3 performance objectives that have helped drive the results while also preparing us for the new Texas accountability system beginning with the class of 2030. Next slide, please. Okay. So our first priority is increasing the number of students who demonstrate college readiness through SAT, ACT, and TSI-2. These assessments do far more than satisfy accountability measures. They create opportunity for college admissions, merit scholarships, dual credit placement, and exemption from developmental coursework, ultimately saving students and families both time and money. To support this work, we continue partnering closely with our curriculum team to intentionally embed TSI-2 and SAT skills into classroom instruction. I am proud to report that our performance objective target was 20%, and our preliminary result shows 26%, exceeding our goal by 6 points. This growth reflects intentional efforts across our district. We met with students in classrooms to help them understand what their PSAT and SAT scores mean and how these scores can open up future opportunities. We partnered with ACE to provide TSI testing Tuesdays, hosted advanced academic meetings for students and families, and began introducing middle school students to early college, high school, and dual credit opportunities well before they reach high school. Together, these efforts are helping make informed decisions and prepare earlier for college success. All right, next is our dual credit. Through our partnership with Tarrant County College, students have the opportunity to earn college credit while still in high school. Dual credit not only accelerates students towards a degree, but also reduces tuition costs while building confidence that they belong in college-level coursework. As early college high school continues to expand, we strengthen partnerships with higher education institutions. We anticipate continued growth in this area. Our performance objective target was 25, and our preliminary results show 31%, surpassing our goal by 6% points. This reflects our ongoing commitment to increasing rigorous academic opportunities for every student. Next slide, please. Our next performance objective focuses on industry-based certification. These certificates provide students with valuable workforce credentials that prepare them for high-demand careers immediately after graduation. As career and technical education continues to grow at Castleberry High School, we remain committed to our certificate offerings to ensure that they align with workforce demands and the evolving accountability requirements established by TEA. One important point to note is that while our previous goal was 37%, our 2026 target was intentionally adjusted to 25%. This reflects TEA's implementation of more rigorous industry-based certifications and the sunset of several certification pathways, not a decrease in expectation. Despite those high standards, our students exceeded expectations. Our performance objective target was 25%, and our preliminary results showed 34%, an outstanding 9% point increase. Now Ms. Martinez does want to talk a little bit more about those pathways, so I'm going to hand it over to her.
Hello. There's a lot going on this sheet, but this is kind of our pathways at a glance. As you can see in the first column, these are all the pathways that we offer. And then on the second column, we put what they call the WADA data, the workforce area development data, the high growths in our, like how fast this job is growing in this area. And then we also have the average yearly salary in this area of how much they would get paid if they worked in this. And then on the next one, you can see it high. That means that it's high demand, high wage. And that's what we have to align when we're working with federal Perkins funds and grant funds, that we have to make sure we're choosing pathways that are high demand, high pay in our area. And then you can also see the course sequence. And this is what's changed. The kids actually have to do these courses and complete this pathway. And then in the end, they pass that aligned IBC, and that makes them a pathway completer and gets them a full CCMR point. And we also put clubs at the end that they can align with as well for extra supplemental support in those areas. But this is one of the points also why we did have to adjust those IBCs, because if you remember, they sunsetted some of the ones that we were using frequently, and they implemented some different ones, and we knew we were going to have to take some time to get adjusted to those new standards and to put those new tests in as well.
Next slide. Our final House Bill 3 performance objective focuses on expanding participation in on-ramps. On-ramps provide students with access to rigorous college-level coursework while allowing them to earn university credit before graduation. As we continue strengthening our partnerships with institutions such as University of Texas, we will continue identifying students who can benefit from these opportunities while providing the support necessary for them to succeed. Our performance objective target was 21%, and our preliminary results showed 22, exceeding our goal by 1% point. While the increase is modest, it represents continued forward progress and expanded access to rigorous academic experiences for our students. Taken together, these House Bill 3 performance objectives reflect much more than accountability metrics. They represent intentional systems that expand opportunities, reduce barriers, and prepare every Castleberry graduate student for success after graduation. I'm now going to turn it over to Ms. Martinez. She will talk more. Thank you.
All right. Y'all like my nice little meme that I made? A Greek philosopher once wisely noted that change is the only constant in life. And while we all agree in principle, when those shifts, they can still be very stressful when they come. Throughout my 28 years in public education, I've learned to stay ready for TEA changes, and this new CCMR shift is a significant one. It's driven by research showing that some readiness skills weigh a little bit more heavier than others and coincide with long-term student success. Because of this, the state is introducing a weighted indicators to encourage higher rigor. As a board, your role in setting and monitoring these multi-year CCMR goals and performance objectives are vital. We have a clear runway to prepare, as this new methodology will be used for our class of 2030, the new freshmen that are walking in the door. Okay. One thing that's important to understand is there's not just one way for a student to earn CCMR. Students can demonstrate readiness through college, career, military pathways, giving us multiple opportunities to prepare them for success after high school. Before I explain this chart, I'd like to point something out that is important. For the graduating class of 27, 28, and 29, we are still operating under the current TEA accountability system, this one right here. These are the measures that count today and up until 2029. But beginning with the class of 2030, however, Texas will be transitioned to a new tiered accountability model, and I'm going to go over that with you in a bit. This chart represents every pathway students can use today, and we've color-coded it based on how Castleberry has performed. The green areas are where we've established ourselves as a district leader. One of our greatest successes has been college readiness through Texas College Bridge. By intentionally building systems around that measure, we've dramatically increased the number of students graduating college ready. These results didn't happen by accidents, because counselors, teachers, administrators, and the CCMR team intentionally built opportunities for students to succeed. At the same time, we recognize that the 2030 accountability model places a lot less emphasis on Texas College Bridge. So while we're proud of what we've accomplished, we are also preparing to diversify our students and the way they earn readiness. The yellow areas represent opportunities where we've already built a strong foundation and are positioned for significant growth. Our early college high school continues to expand opportunities for students to earn meaningful college credit while still in high school. This year, we also received approval from TEA to begin planning year zero for our new P-TECH program, which is a tremendous milestone for our district. That work positions us to dramatically expand opportunities for students to earn level 1 and level 2 certificates that are aligned with workforce, and associate's degrees and other advanced credentials that align directly with the new accountability model. As a matter of fact, our current juniors will be the first class to be eligible to graduate with an associate's degree, and they're actually going to get their associate's degree before they even walk the stage for high school. So that's pretty exciting. On the career side, we've seen tremendous growth in industry-based certifications. Last year and this year, our team exceeded our district goal as we moved to retire sunsetted IBCs and implement new, more rigorously aligned state-approved certifications. As a PTech comes online, we continue to expand our career pathways, and we expect those opportunities to grow even more. Another investment that's already paying dividends is our Effective Advising Framework grant. That grant has fundamentally changed how we approach CCMR. Rather than just waiting until the kids are juniors or seniors to get that CCMR point, we've been intentionally building advising structures that begin a whole lot earlier. I mean, all the way down to 5th grade. It has allowed us to focus our work around CCMR measures that matter the most, while expanding our TSI-2 and our SAT supports through after-school programs, Saturday schools, and summer programs. Instead of hoping students find these opportunities, we're intentionally creating systems that bring the opportunities directly to them. That same philosophy is also shaping how we're rethinking Reach High School. As we have redesigned our new high school to meet new accountability systems, it's imperative that Reach students have direct access to these same opportunities. It isn't about where the students attend school. It's about making sure every student who falls under Castleberry's accountability has equitable access to dual credit, industry-based certifications, PTech pathways, college advising, TSIA-2 and SAT supports, and all of the programs that help students achieve advanced post-secondary readiness. Those students count just as much in our accountability system, but more importantly, they deserve the same opportunities as every Castleberry student. Locating Reach within the high school allows us to remove barriers instead of creating them. The red areas represent AP and IB examinations. We don't do IB examinations here, we just do AP. And while we will continue to offer advanced placement opportunities, relatively few students currently earn the qualifying AP exam scores to generate CCMR points. And that is an area that we are continuing to evaluate as we determine where our investment will have the greatest impact on student success. You'll also notice that the military readiness remains an important pathway through enlistment in either the U.S. Armed Forces or the Texas National Guard. While we have a smaller number of students who pursue military service each year, we're proud to support those students as they serve our country. Overall, what this chart tells me isn't just where we've been successful, it tells the story of a district that's willing to adapt. And over the last several years, we've built systems around measures that produce the greatest opportunities for our students. Now we're doing the same thing again. And one of the other things we do is we proactively seek out grants that help support this work. And over the past several years, we've been awarded nearly $500,000 to help support these structures as well, and to put the structures in place to allow this program to go. We've been able to effectively structure systems that are prepared for the new accountability with these grant funds. Through early college high school and our new PTech planning year, the Effective Advising Framework grant, expanding dual credit opportunities, industry-based certifications, and intentional college readiness supports, we aren't waiting for 2030 to arrive. We're building systems today that will allow Castleberry students to thrive under tomorrow's accountability model. If there's one thing I'm most proud of in this, it's our success hasn't come from finding one pathway to CCMR. It's come from building an entire ecosystem where every student has multiple pathways to succeed. So we've talked about how students can currently earn CCMR. So as we look to 2030, beginning with this graduating class of 2030, the new freshmen coming in, Texas is changing how those accomplishments are counted. Think of it this way. Today, earning a CCMR is mostly a check mark. They get it or they don't. Starting with the class of 2030, though, the state is asking a different question. Instead of asking, did they become CCMR ready, they're asking, how did the student become CCMR ready? And to answer that question, TEA is creating 3 levels or tiers of readiness. And that's what you can see up here. One is the foundational post-secondary readiness, and these are the students who have taken important first steps towards college or careers. They're on the right path, but they haven't reached the highest level of readiness. The next one is demonstrated post-secondary readiness, and these are students that they can be successful after high school, and they've demonstrated the skills and knowledge needed to move directly into college or the workforce. And the last tier, the highest tier, is advanced post-secondary readiness. It is the highest level. These students have earned the credentials and the experience that research shows lead to the strongest long-term outcomes, whether that's completing an associate's degree, earning a high-value industry certification, or other advanced accomplishments. The important takeaway is every student still counts. But under the new system, students who reach higher tiers contribute more to our accountability score than those who have only met the foundational level. The goal is to encourage students to move beyond simply meeting the minimum requirement and toward earning credentials that have the greatest impact on their future. So as a district, our work is changing. Instead of asking how many students earn CCMR, we'll also be asking how many students reach the highest level of readiness. And that is the shift that we've already been preparing for. This is the platform that we use every day to monitor CCMR across the district. It's called CareerCraft. It has really become a command center for CCMR. It allows us to monitor much more than just accountability, though. We use it to track all of our CCMR data. It also tracks our CTE data as well, and our completers, our concentrators, our IBCs. It also tracks our early college, high school outcome-based measures, and it will track our new P-TECH planning and designation requirements. And as you can tell, it already has, it helps us track our outcome bonuses as well. Having all of these data points in one place allows us to make decisions based on real-time information instead of waiting for end-of-year reports. What I appreciate the most about this system is it doesn't just tell us where we are today. It helps us see where we're headed. And right now, it's projected Castleberry at 99% CCMR under the current accountability system. That's exactly where we want to be. It means nearly every senior on our dashboard has either earned CCMR or is on track to. You'll also notice an important number on the screen. CareerCraft is currently projecting approximately $239,000 in outcome bonus funding for 2028. I do want to emphasize this is a projection, not a guarantee. Those dollars are earned only if the students successfully complete the requirements, including demonstrated college readiness through TSI 2, and then either enrolling in college and staying there until the 10th day, or earning an industry-based certification. Lots of those kids have earned an industry-based certification because we wanted to make sure we had control over those outcomes. In other words, those dollars represent student success first. The funding simply follows the outcomes and student achievement. The real power of this platform, though, is it keeps us from doing a postmortem after the fact. Instead of waiting until accountability ratings are released and saying, oh my gosh, what went wrong, we can model future accountability years today and make adjustments while there's still time to change the outcome. One of the features we rely on most is the what-if analysis. We can essentially tell the system, pretend it's 2030. How would our current students perform under the new accountability rules? That allows us to look years into the future instead of reacting to accountability system changes. It gives us time to adjust programs, expand early college, high school, and P-TECH, and revise advising practices and intentionally move students into higher value readiness pathways before the new accountability system even takes place. So like I said, this was our 2026 graduates, and I want to show you if our 2026 graduates were in 2030, what this would look like. When we run that projection, the picture changes significantly. You'll see that although we're currently projected at 99% under today's accountability model, our score would fall to approximately 55% under the new 2030 accountability framework. And that's why we're talking about this now. We're not interested in conducting postmortems in 2030. We're using predictive data today so we can make informed decisions now to ensure our students and our district are ready long before the accountability changes come down. We are on track with our current changes, though. All of the measures that we've been putting in place, we can start mitigating those problems right now. Okay. Now, I'll be honest with you, when I saw this slide from TEA, I was like, I need an engineering degree in order to interpret this. But the good news is you don't have to understand the math, you just need to understand the concept. Here's the simple version. Under today's accountability system, every student who earns a CCMR point counts, and it's just one student, 1 point. So starting with the class of 2030, that's no longer how it's worked. Every student is placed in the highest tier of readiness in which they have achieved, foundational, demonstrated, or advanced. And here's the part where it gets a little tricky. A student who earns advanced readiness also counts as demonstrated and foundational. So if you think of it like climbing a ladder, once you get to the third ring, you've already touched 1 and 2. So when TEA calculates the score, they don't just count advanced students once, they count them in all 3 categories. And it's not the formula that really matters, it's the behavior that it encourages. The state is sending districts a very clear message. Don't stop getting students across the finish line, help them reach the highest levels of readiness possible. And that's why this shift is very significant. Under the current system, if a student earns an industry-based certification, that's it, we're done, we did our job. But under the new system, we have to ask, can that same student get dual credit? Can that same student pass TSI-2 or SAT? So we are encouraging the kids to get more and more and more. It really isn't learning about a new math formula, it's about changing our mindset from did they make it to how far can we help them go. And don't worry about memorizing the TA equation. Our job's just to understand the strategy behind it. Okay. So after looking at all of these changes, the obvious question becomes, what are we going to do differently? The encouraging news is that we are not having to start from scratch. In many ways, Castleberry has already been building towards this future. What changes now is a level of intentionality behind the work. First, we're going to become even more strategic about scheduling. Instead of waiting until students are juniors or seniors to think about college credit, we'll continue designing schedules beginning in middle school and 9th grade that intentionally position students for AP, dual credit, early college, high school, P-Tech, and other advanced opportunities. The work actually starts even earlier than that, though. Our IMMS STEM Academy gives students the opportunity to begin exploring STEM careers and rigorous coursework as early as 5th grade. Looking back, it's almost as if we had a crystal ball and we could see what was coming long before the state put it in place. So we are creating systems that emphasize early exposure, intentional planning, and post-secondary readiness. Those students are entering high school better prepared to take advantage of advanced opportunities because they've been building those skills for years. Second, every student needs a roadmap. Rather than simply asking students what classes they want to take next year, we need to start asking, where do you want to be after graduation? What's the best pathway for you to get there? One of the biggest reasons we've been able to make this shift is our partnership with T3. Their work around intentional college and career advising has helped us move beyond scheduling classes to building individual post-secondary plans. That partnership has been instrumental in increasing our CCMR success, and as a result, our improved projected outcome bonus funding because more students are successfully completing college and career readiness milestones. Third, we're moving college readiness earlier. Historically, we viewed TSIA, SAT as 11th grade events, but under the new accountability system, they become a bigger part of the journey. Our goal is to prepare students before testing days so these assessments become milestones they confidently can achieve instead of obstacles that they fear. Another important part of the work is the redesign of our new high school. As we rethink the high school experience, we're intentionally designing it around opportunities students need to meet the new accountability expectations. They also include exploring possibilities of relocating Reach High School to the same campus. It isn't about moving students to a different building, it's about removing the barriers. Reach students are part of Castleberry accountability, like I mentioned earlier, just like every other student, and they deserve access to all those programs and opportunities that we're growing at the new high school. When these opportunities are located together, they become easier and equity becomes stronger. Finally, our parents, even more important. The accountability system is changing, but most parents don't know that yet. We have to help families understand why course selection matters, why earning college credit earlier matters, and how the decisions create more opportunities for them, themselves, and their children after graduation. At the end of the day, this isn't really about accountability, it's about building one connected system where a student can begin exploring STEM in 5th grade, receive intentional college and career advising throughout middle school and high school, and access to early college P-TECH opportunities before they even graduate. That's a system we've been building. The new accountability framework simply confirms that we're headed in the right direction. The earlier we begin planning, the more opportunities our students have when they graduate. And so when I step back and I look at everything we've built over the past several years, I honestly don't see a collection of programs anymore. I see it's one connected pipeline. It starts in STEM in elementary school and grows through intentional advising and many TSI2 testing opportunities earlier in the middle school, expands through early college and P-TECH, and then ends when students leaving Castleberry ready for whatever comes next. So lastly, where does that leave us? Fortunately, we are not behind. In fact, I believe we're in a very good position because we have something that many districts don't have yet, and that's time. We know what's coming, we know when it's coming, and we now have a plan. Over the next school year, our focus is going to be on 5 points. First, we'll continue expanding our early college, high school, and P-TECH opportunities because those programs naturally align with the direction that the state is heading. They aren't just great opportunities for students, they're also some of the strongest pathways to advanced post-secondary readiness. Second, we will need to revisit our House Bill 3 goals and progress measures so that they don't simply reflect today's accountability, but they are ready for the future accountability that's coming up. Third, we'll continue doing something that has become one of our strengths. And instead of waiting until the end of the year to see how we performed, we'll continue monitoring our CCMR data every month. That allows us to identify students who need support while there's still time to help them. Fourth, we'll continue partnering with curriculum and campus leaders to intentionally build TSI2 and SAT concepts into classroom instruction so students are developing college readiness skills long before the test. And finally, we'll be continue to review our IBC certifications to ensure we're offering credentials that not only meet workforce demand, but also maximize student opportunities under the new accountability system. The common thread through all 5 of these actions is simple. We're choosing to prepare instead of react. We're not waiting until 2030 to find out whether we're ready. We're making the adjustments now so our students have every opportunity to succeed. Ultimately, it's not about improving a score. It's about making sure every Castleberry student graduates with more options, with more credentials, and more opportunities than they've ever had before. So I think that's a goal we can all get behind. But before we wrap up, I don't have Kendra Scott for you, but I have. I wish I did. It's not. Career Craft sent me some little goodies. We had a conference with them last week, and I thought that you guys would enjoy it. It says 2031 is coming. Prepare yourself. So while the button is funny, the message is real. The accountability system is changing whether we're ready or not. My goal is simple when 2031 gets here because 2030 is the kids, but the accountability will be 2031 because it's lagging. I don't want Castleberry to be trying to figure it out. I want us to be the district that everybody's calling to go, how did y'all do that? And I think that we will. I truly believe we can do it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Any questions?
Can y'all hear me? First of all, thank you guys. Thank you, because I know that's coming, and I appreciate your proactiveness because I know that it's coming, and we can't course correct. So thank you for being proactive and knowing we have to like kind of vacillate in 2 worlds, right? Kids that are graduating between sophomore to seniors, and then our incoming freshmen. So yeah, great work, and I'm excited to see all of the upcoming stuff. I am curious around the TSIA prep and how we're going to prepare our kiddos, but other than that, great job. Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate your help.
Of course, my brain went to how much is this costing us? All these changes, but I'm not even gonna have to worry, but that's Mr. Wooten's problem, isn't it?
Well, luckily, I've been incredibly proactive with seeking out grant opportunities that help us fund. I mean, we've had a little under $500,000 over the last 5 years in grant funding to try to implement all of these, so.
Not any burdens necessarily.
Not yet.
Okay. But what I heard tonight was that if you come to Castleberry ISD, you're going to get a quality education. And I think that that's the message that we need to just keep preaching out there. I heard you use words like rigorous coursework, and I think that that's important. I think that's what our people will be looking for their children to have in public education now, is a quality education. So I think that's what we're offering. And that was a lot of information. So
We have a lot of good things going
a
on.
lot of good things. And I appreciated you saying that what our role as a school board was at the very beginning. I think that helps direct us in what to monitor and to keep our eye on. So thank you very much all around.
This is great, right? Where we're headed is great. And I would encourage you to, even though for the next 3 years, the sophomores, juniors and seniors, play with them.
Yes.
Yeah, help them grow too. You know, just because the standard is different, you know, I would ask that we test stuff out, use them as test subjects. So that's what I would encourage.
Thank you so much.
Because accountability doesn't change, does it? We're still responsible for these standards, correct?
Yeah. So, yeah. Anyway, anything else? Anybody? Yes, ma'am.
I just want to thank Stephanie, your team, Manny, Sal, Lemus, and everyone that's been working together on the grants, because remember, that's additional. These are grants that aren't our typical grants, that they sit down as a team, and we're going to benefit from all the extra hard work that they put in to get the grants so that we can move in this proactive approach very quickly. And so I'm very grateful for all the work that you guys have done so that we are taking a proactive approach. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now on to item 6C, Mr. Jackson.
Good evening, President Oliver, Ms. Smith-Faulkner, board members. We have very light changes to the Student Code of Conduct this year due to the heavy legislation last year that resulted in a lot of changes. There, like you'll hear me say with board policy a little bit later, they're just cleaning some things up as they kind of refine some of the policy and things like that. Here in the first place Angela will stop is in our communications policy regarding personal communication devices. Basically, I've just added a caveat to allow the campus administration to give a global warning at the beginning of the day and then begin confiscating phones, so that we're not individually giving a warning to 50 kids that have their phone out in the hallway and having to keep up with, did I give that kid a warning already or not? Just covering them to be able to do what they need to do to enforce those policies. Then you'll see two changes where I'm just really adding language about a process that's already been in place. Here you see that if someone wants to appeal a discipline decision that results in a campus-level consequence, ISS, OSS, anything below that, that appeal goes to the principal, and that principal's decision is final on that. Of course, they can file a grievance beyond that if they want to, but there needs to be recourse, and I wanted to spell that out in the Student Code of Conduct for our families. Also, some clarification that if your kid has ISS and you don't agree with it, but you keep him home to avoid the ISS, that is going to count as an unexcused absence.
Can you tell us what page you're on, Mr. Jackson?
We are on
22.
22. And then just below that, you will see another change on, I can't see the 36. Again, that's more clarifying language around appeals. This is being for DAP placements, and just saying who the person that's going to hear those appeals for. It's no change in procedure or anything like that, just providing that clarification. And then again, you'll see that statement that if you choose to keep your kid at home during that time that you're waiting on the appeal, that those are unexcused absences. I did run both of these changes about the appeal process by TASB just to ensure that those were acceptable to add to our code of conduct. They're fairly common in other districts and things like that as well, that they have this type of comment or these type of processes. And then there was one question about the student code of conduct, and that was inquiring about parent involvement in the DAEP process. We did not adopt a policy initially that had parents involved in our DAP process. And what that involvement would be, when you look at the language of that law and things like that, would be, say if my son had to go to DAP, the school would have to make me aware that I had a right to request a behavior agreement whereby my son, if he did X activities, and I may even have activities as a parent that I need to complete, then he could get a reduced term at DAEP. So that's specifically what that's talking about when it talks about that policy that we could have in relation to parents being involved in that process. Now, while we don't have a policy in place, we very much work in the spirit of what that policy would look like. Before a student is placed in a DAP, they have at minimum 2 different meetings. They have the DAP hearing, right, where a decision is made about that placement, but they also have what we call an intake meeting after that placement. So during that DAP hearing, the majority of the time when students are placed in DAP, they're given what we call a number of days that they're placed and then a review date, right? So I might say that because you got caught with a vape in the bathroom, you have a 30-day placement at DAP. However, if you're willing to show up every day like you're supposed to, behave in a cordial manner at DAP, and take an online class on vaping and the dangers of that, then that would be reduced down to potentially just 20 days. So we very much do have those things built into place. Students that are coming to us maybe in need of some outside help, a lot of times if they'll go get that outside help, should it be addiction or anything like that, we allow those days to count towards that placement as well. So we're very much already working with our families to ensure that the kids are getting what they need, but we don't have that formal policy in place.
Any other questions?
Yes, ma'am.
And that was my question. And is this the same document? Because before I thought this said the changes were in green. Did that just change? to
Yeah,
red?
somebody
Or-
said they were hard to see in green and requested that we change them to red so that they'd be a little easier to
'Cause I can't see
follow.
red.
And we did notice that it made it much easier for Angela to find the stopping points than when it was in green. It was too close.
Yeah, that could be a debate we can have later, I guess. Yeah.
I had blue originally and it blended in with all the links,
all the
so it was
links.
hard to tell where a change was versus a link. But yes. Green was a bad choice, okay?
No, green was
Full
great.
responsibility.
Green was not alarming to me. I was like, oh, this, I don't know. But my question was, and I think you hit it, the nail on the head when you said we're already doing some of those things for parents' partnerships. So I'm thinking, why wouldn't we go ahead and make that a policy to have that extra layer of protection or support for everybody?
The only downside to it would be there would be additional documentation
Sure.
required on our part. Those plans would have to be written out formally.
Right.
There could be potentially opening the door for more parent pushback about certain things by formalizing that process. The reason that it was not originally in the Code of Conduct is last year when we did that section of the Code of Conduct, there had not been an opportunity to see what that policy would look like or what TEA would be providing as an example plan for that behavior agreement and those types of things. So it really wasn't available to put in there last year, and then that just kind of carried forward into this year.
So my understanding is TEA is helping us if we want to have that type of policy on what that would look like, and that would be the behavior contract. So if I'm a parent, I'm going to want that set in policy, that we're going to have that extra framework for my child to be successful. So I don't know, I think that's, since it is a policy question, I think that's something we have to discuss as a board. I realize it's bureaucracy, it's more paperwork, and I get that, and that's yucky. But hopefully we don't have many kids that are going to be needing that. So I don't think that, I'd like to see some numbers on that. But as a parent, I would like to see a policy that allows me to say, oh, okay. And is it also talk about exiting the disciplinary placement as well as policy, or is it just about having
It
that?
reduces the number of days it would take them to get to that exit point. That's where you're
Right.
thinking of the word exit probably showing up in the
Okay,
language.
Yeah, and I've read the code, but I haven't studied it. So that's just where I am. I'm thinking that as a parent, I would want that in policy so that I could say, Okay,
It-
well, I'm not gonna use my
I
child's
think
name.
we can put it in some guidelines. What I'm wondering, Wes, some clarification, that means we have to do it for every time we do this now.
Every time we do
And
it,
we
we would have
already
to-
offer it, so that now that's paperwork for every child that
Could
we're,
potentially be.
yes. So there is quite a bit of burden on our high school, middle school APs especially. And so I'm concerned because it's common practice that we do it, and we have had success with the guidelines. And if we put it in policy, that means it's done strictly every time with paperwork offered up. And I do think that's going to bog down our APs from being in the classroom doing walkthroughs and evaluations. And we have a real I feel really good after the retreat of our focus, instructional focus, and the training we're doing with APs instructionally. So I'm worried how that might impact. That's the only wondering I have, how it would be quite a bit, and how would that impact the other responsibilities that we're giving them?
I will say we certainly could put some guidelines in the student handbook, saying that, hey, parents, if your student is placed at DAP, these are things that we will look at on a case-by-case basis. That's another place that it could be, other than board policy. And then we have a little more flexibility if we need to adapt or something like that with that language.
So that piques another question. It sounds like we have a lot of students that are in DAEP being placed there, that would create a burden. I mean, do we need that
It's
kind of data
significant
before we
enough,
make a
and there are times of the year where it just kind of spikes. A lot of times when a middle school student is caught with a vape, they tell on the 5 other kids that had possession of that vape during that day. So in essence, if it's a THC vape, we're getting a 5-for-1 kind of deal there when we catch that one student. So you get a couple of those in a couple-week period, and that does, procedurally, it does bog us down a little bit. Now, there's other times of year where it's, we have, less than 15 kids over there at a time, but there are times in the spring where it does get a little bit chaotic.
And I understand that. I still think that I would like to see that in policy. And know what that would look like.
Yeah, and I think that absolutely it's the board decision. I just wanted you to be able to consider when we add something, what is it taking away from? And I fear that it takes away from time for our APs to be in the classroom, because they're the evaluators. Remember, they are evaluators. They do walkthroughs. They have to be in PLCs, and we're working really hard to get our APs up to be instructional leaders. And that is my only wondering. My fear is that it will take away from some of those focuses, and just something to consider as y'all consider this.
Any other question? Thank you, Mr. Jackson.
I'm just wondering
sorry.
for the board, if we need to see some of that data to see what kind of discipline problems we're having, that this would create a burden. So before we make a decision, do we need to have a little bit more information? And because I understand that burden. And then my other question would be, why is TEA giving us that flexibility?
Because I'm not sure all schools offer, because what Wes just told you, mostly the vaping, we offer to all, unless they're repeat, it's mandatory. And so then we're offering, because we want them not to be repeating this, we want them to get help because of the addictiveness. And so we offer them the ability to be able to go and do some, learning so that they understand how dangerous this is. So pretty much it's a standard that we give them for that. And so we have a lot of these things built in already, and they're offered when the parent is at the meeting.
For example, we had a student from another district come in with a first-time vape placement. He had it was either a 60 or a 90-day placement for a first offense. That is going beyond, just making sure you understand this was serious. That's just incredibly punitive. And so I think they're offering an avenue for districts to kind of find that balance and be able to look at how do we stop this problem from reoccurring versus just putting down a consequence.
I think also if we think about, back to Tracy's point, like if we're using data to support the decision, maybe it is like number of violations, I don't know what you call them, and referrals, and like time difference. What does it take to do the process now, and what would it take to do this more elaborate process? And then we kind of could do the math then, and then you go back to say, okay, what is that taken away from? It's an hour extra, it's 2 hours, it's 3, because I think that would help drive some of the decision-making, and also like, what is the success? How many repeat offenders? Because is the process we're doing now working? And if it is, then, stay the course. If we have many repeat offenders, you start to say, how do we adapt, right, the process so that we don't get as many repeat offenders? I don't know. I'm just throwing ideas out there.
I don't understand that part. Like, I feel like what we're giving them is the training, and so on the well, it is working, because the repeat offenders, if they're selecting to go through some of the courses, they're not repeat. We just have many students who are experimenting and tried out, and our referrals have gone down. So don't think we have huge, but once you write it, you have to monitor it, you gotta come back around, you gotta file it, you gotta meet with the parents, and if a parent wants to meet with us, then we're certainly going to do that. We can provide the data on, how many we have, how many hearings we have. We can certainly provide that. Again, that means somebody's producing it and providing it for you. If that's what you guys determine, we can certainly do that. But I will say that our referrals and our progress monitoring that we do, we look at this, and the referrals have decreased over time.
And of course, I can't ask for that data. The board has to, by policy, the board has to agree to ask you to generate that type of report. So we'd have to make that type of decision tonight. Right, exactly. So, but something that you said kind of reinforces what I'm thinking when you said that a student that came to us had 60 or 90 days, and it was just from another school. To me, a policy in place that we're talking about would allow parents then to say, I need to have some kind of policy to help me reduce those days, or look at this and reevaluate.
We did reduce those days. I mean,
Right.
we have that discretion when they come to us like
good,
that
good.
from another
Yeah.
district to whether we uphold that placement at all. But no, we reduced it to the number of days that we would have normally issued to that student.
Right. And I think policy would help also reinforce that, and that's just the way I'm thinking, but,
Point of order, we're really talking about a hypothetical policy, and he's here to present the current draft. So I would suggest we table this to a board workshop where we could be more productive.
Mr. President, you have to have a motion to table anything, so you'd have, and a second to table it. And I'm going to,
We're not tabling any discussion here tonight, because
Oh,
this
that's what
is
you
not
said.
the discussion. I'm
Well,
saying the
we're
discussion we
going
have, so we're not having a discussion on the possibility of a policy. We're having a discussion on the draft student code of conduct.
right, and
But it's turned into a policy discussion, which would be great if it was an item.
so let me say this.
So when I say,
will we vote on the
I
code
don't
of
use a
conduct?
formal table.
When are we going to vote on the code of conduct?
We have to have it for the first of school.
Therefore,
and
I will be
so-
voting no,
Well, and
because we
what,
can't discuss
but
it.
but what I'm saying is, it doesn't mean we can't provide the data, and go back and amend it and change it. Like, it's not something, it's always something that you can go back and amend. At this time, I couldn't produce the data, but certainly at the request of, the agreement of the board, I can come back with data for y'all to look at it.
I'm just having a hard time understanding why we can't have this discussion, because it's the code of conduct is what we're discussing.
We're discussing a new board policy, is that correct?
Because that's in the code, there's one line that says the district does not have a policy for this.
Okay.
Therefore, so my point is, so if I'm going to approve this in a vote, in a yes vote, then I need to have this discussion about, will this be added to the code of conduct before we approve? So therefore, I think that having this discussion is legitimate.
Will we be having, well, there's no discussion for a new board policy tonight, so that should answer your question.
Well, I understand that, okay. So how do I vote yes or no? If maybe this policy should have come before us.
I can only tell you
Earlier.
my feelings is we need to move forward for the district, and we can also change that later. And my suggestion is during a board workshop, those are the things we have to discuss during those board workshops. Definitely, if there's any strong feeling. But this is what's in front of us right now.
Okay, I think I can
Yeah.
agree with that. So tonight, then we need to decide about do we want a report with all the data? How do we do that?
We can direct Ms. Smith Faulkner.
Do we have to have a vote?
I don't believe so.
Because I know that by policy, we all have to agree.
So we discuss, I think board policy is on one of the items down in the board agenda, so I would suggest to revisit that during that time.
Okay, sounds good. All right, thank you, Mr. President. Thanks for walking me through that, because at first I thought, wait a minute, I can discuss this.
Kind of went down a winding road there, rabbit trail, just in my opinion. Any other questions about the current changes?
That is the sum of the current changes to the student code of conduct. Anything else was just me fixing a grammatical error or something like that.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson.
You're welcome.
On to item 6D, Castleberry High School Bond Program Construction Update.
Good evening, Board President, Superintendent Smith Faulkner. Let's jump into it. We've got a lot to share. We've had a busy summer, so we'll actually be visiting a few different items and not just the bond as we traditionally present. All right, let's jump into it. 2-year time frame, we're still on pace for that, sorry. We were still a little bit ahead of schedule. We're right on budget, I'll say that now. We're not necessarily under budget because we're utilizing some budget to do some additional things, and I will share that with you all. But Israel is making sure we're in full compliance, and we will be giving you guys a very nice high school here soon. Okay, financial overview. Big thing is the one in the middle, that is, we're about, I'd say 80% complete with the project. We have 4 months to go. Remember, it was about a 2.5 year going back to the original when you passed the bond. So we're a little over 2 years with 4 months to go, and yet we still have 28% of our funds. So I'll explain a little more detail of how we're using that moving forward. All right? Okay, and so our timeline, the big things here are that we have water taps after a year and 9 months. So huge success there. I thank the team for all of their diligence. So all of those will be closed out with exception of the basement, which I have some pictures of moving forward, and of course the student parking lot and some of the learning stairs around the building that we won't have access to until we open up Area A in December. All right, let's get into the glamour shots. Now, if you all are coming out to support Castleberry ISD for our vendor fair and pep rally, please come early because we're going to show you some of the areas you'll be able to tour because pictures just don't do it justice, but I'll do my best tonight. So this is the connector. This is Area C where we connect the old building to the new. You can see the right side of the stairways is where students can kind of hang out. Up at the top, go to the next picture, please, Angela. You'll see in the foreground and the background little chairs and tables where they can sit and gaze out the window. We still have a little touch up on painting on the rails, and then in the background you see the white wall. There'll be graphics that we will include And probably hopefully by the pep rally, you guys will see that. All right, keep on moving. So this is an example of Area B classroom. We have several of these opening up. Our focus is on science in Area B, as well as, next picture, our beautiful new gymnasium. So you guys will get to take a peek at that. That's in our, floor, area, or floor 0, I think we call it. So, it's beautiful. In fact, I got in trouble for walking on the wet wax this, to get you the latest and the greatest. That's what I do as a reporter. So, but he forgave me, and we still got one coat to go in the morning, so it's going to be all right. Okay. This is our black box area. So, real quick shout out to Ms. Smith Faulkner, Mr. Bowser, Mr. Lasher, and even Mr. Wooten. We worked diligently. Remember, the next 2 pictures, these areas were not, the next 3 pictures actually, these areas were not approved originally 2 years ago. So we worked really hard for about 10, 12 months, and last November we came to you all with a PR4, and that was the black box in the media center. We saved a lot of money in these areas, working diligently with WRA and BTC. That's the advantage of a CMR. Not to get into the weeds with that, but working together with all of the groups at one time at the same table is beneficial. So here's our beautiful black box. We'll open up next month, and then the next picture is an example of a dressing room. You can see the bright lights and the tabletops. We still have a little furniture to go in there. The last picture is our media center. Now, we have completed the ceiling, but we now have all of our stored furniture and boxes and technology in there, so it wouldn't have been as nice of a photo if I took one this last week. So that's it, with the exception of we have completed that ceiling. So that completes the areas that will open up. Now moving forward, here's Area A. This is the CTE, as well as the basement, which you'll see. So here's just to show you that we're still moving forward, just not at the same pace, but we'll probably still be a month or 2 ahead of time, ahead of schedule with this area. So this is the foyer area, and then I got an example of a classroom overseeing the practice field there. So just really millwork, ceilings, floors, and FF&E to go in these areas. So moving right along, okay. Here's our basement. This is actually our haunted house. This is open October 31st, 2026. So it looks a lot brighter in the picture than it does when you're down there, but you can see we've got the underground boring in place. You can kind of see the, up at the top, we've got the above ceiling ducting going in. So we're right on pace there to open up in December as well. Remember, June 1st, this was 8 classrooms with walls. We actually had to pause because we had some abatement that we had to do. Thank you, Mr. Lasher, for coordinating all that. The whole team has done really a great job in coordinating this. Summers are now really only about 8 weeks, so everybody's done great, okay? Keep on going. Now, as I said, we've saved some money, so with the coordination of everybody, finance, maintenance, technology, we have been able to come to you a couple of months ago and put together a package to help at the high school with some HVAC, a little bit more mechanical than that, but a lot of roofing. So this is some photos, these next 3 photos of those areas. And I got to tell you, in just that area, it was about 20,000 square feet of roofing, and the roofing has to be coordinated with the HVAC. Those guys have been working their tail off all summer long, so a testament to them. And thank you guys for trusting us to do that this summer. Go ahead, there's a couple more glamour shots of that. This is the science wing, I believe you guys refer to it as. So those are all new units, and now they just got the sheet cap to go on top of that, and I think they're starting that next week. So all of these projects that I've showed you intend to be completed for the start of school, okay? I think we've got one more. Yeah, this is above the auditorium. Here we had some large 40 and 45-ton units, which are considered specialty items. So it took a lot of coordination, commitment with the team coming up on weekends and making sure that all falls into place, okay? So I wanted to pause there and then separately share with you guys the energy project because it is a different funding source. And we want to give you guys the respect of sharing the information that you guys trusted us with. So huge start to the project. I'll jump right in with sort of the same format, a financial update. So on the left, you'll see we just started about 6 weeks ago. We have a 9-month schedule. A lot of that's going to be the controls because it's really in depth, running from the HVAC units to the thermostats and such in the classrooms. But I do want to thank all the principals and staff, especially Dr. Phelps, Mr. Gideon. Next month I may be begging for forgiveness, but for now we're on pace to open these smaller projects up, and we completed lighting and such, but we are about 20% paid out. That was actually our initial payment, so we have 80% of that money left, and we're about 33 to 35% complete with that project. I'll lay that out for you on the next slide. So we're about 95% complete with all of the LED lighting. I'll show you some photos of that evidence. Roofing, we're about 70% complete, and that should be done with a little bit of finish up in August as we start school. And the mechanical, which is, of course, all of your HVAC units, a little bit of the interior mechanical systems, as well as we're going to be able to utilize some of this money to ensure that our 4 chiller systems at 2 of our elementary schools are kept up throughout this process. So we're going to put you guys, the idea, of course, is to put you guys ahead 10 to 15 years from where we were to start the school year last year. So a little bit of evidence of all of that. This is CE, a little roofing project there of about 35,000 square feet, or 30,000 square feet, I should say. A little bit more, Angela, going forward. This is Joy James. In the administration area, we replaced, or we are replacing several of the mechanical units there, as well as a lot of roofing in that area as well. Okay? Over to LED lighting. This is an example of classroom. A lot of the classrooms are kind of distorted right now, so I didn't get a glamour shot per se, but just wanted to emphasize the difference in the lighting and the classroom environment, which of course we shared with you guys during the process of showing you the results of this project, that classroom environment, ambient environment, natural light, which we're including a lot at the high school, does have a positive effect on the learning environment. So wanted to share that with you. Go ahead. This is just a few more areas of lighting. And so I'll close up with 2 or 3 more photos of that. And you'll see evidence of this as you attend some of the extracurricular activities throughout the district this year. Exterior lighting as well for the pickups and drop-offs. This is just to show that they don't want to miss a fixture. So even the can lighting in the commons areas and areas of specialty lighting, we had them replace those as well because we want to reap savings in every area that we have opportunities.
Mr. Holloman, could you go back to the gym?
Sure.
And talk about the heat and the...
Okay, so go forward 2, 3 slides. Great minds think alike. Okay, these are the 5 areas that the LED lighting is going to already reap benefits starting the start of school. Actually, it's already because some of the people have come back, but these LED lights use about 1/3 the power of the old existing bulbs that we have. There's no heat load, so that takes a little pressure off of our HVAC systems in the classroom areas. You can turn them off and on without flickering, delayed brightness. We will have PIR, which is passive infrared sensors. So right now we've gone back in with sensors where we already had sensors, and basically it's motion detectors so that they don't stay on all night if they're unoccupied. And lastly, we will have a 10-year manufacturer's warranty on all of those lighting. So these are 5 aspects of the lighting that you did not have before we started the project in the existing lighting. So really good stuff there. I believe that concludes my presentation for this evening, but I would entertain any questions that you may have.
Any questions? Anybody?
Just one question. Is there any way that the board can go ahead and pre-preview before the rest of the public?
Before the pep rally, yeah, sure. We can schedule a time when we can walk through. You have to have a hard hat right now, but yeah, if we can put a couple of times that we can quickly, I'm walking it every day now.
Yeah.
They're there every day, weekends, and so absolutely, I can send some times.
Okay, because I didn't know if everybody would be able to be there or not, so if we could do that as
Yeah,
a group.
we can
that would
do
even
a
be-
couple different, yeah, I think it'll be okay.
We
if we
love to
can,
show
I
it
know
off.
it's hard.
I just have a quick question. On the one-third use of power, like reduction of power, do we have a baseline, like, will we have a baseline for our electricity bill, like, starting now? And then, so we can kind of see
Yes,
the
ma'am.
progress of that?
Yes, ma'am, great question. So we collected 2 years of utility bills prior to starting the project. So you will start seeing some savings now because a lot of the savings does come from the LED, which is just about complete. There'll still be additional savings once the controls, which we haven't started yet, and new HVAC and the roofing's complete. But yes, in fact, part of the contract, which we had discussed during the approval, is that Centrix will be required by law to come back after 1 year, present the savings, make sure it meets what they guaranteed in the project. Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
We will have visibility to the baseline, like sooner.
You will have, we can show you the numbers anytime of what you were spending up to that point, and then they'll have to show you.
Well,
Yes.
there's only one, we've already added the high school, the new part of the high school, so I just want to be sure that
Yes.
we're able to delineate that, and I think Centrix
Yes, so,
is work.
All of the additional square footage is metered separately, so we won't include that meter in, just for the presentation purposes. It'll, obviously, we'll have to spend that money, but yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
What's that? Oh, yeah, it is 7:20. We're going to jump down to item 8. At this time, the board will retire to closed session under Texas Government Code Sections 551.071 through 551.076 and 551.08 through 551.083 to discuss the items listed on the agenda. The time is 7:20 PM. Use your restroom. We're out of closed session at 7:55 PM. We're going to jump back up to 7A, Board Policy Update 127. Mr. Jackson.
All right, thank you, board members. Hello again. This is a relatively short update. You're going to notice a lot of, they're just cleaning up things, right? As they had the big update 126, that one was massive, right? And now they're kind of tidying up some things, fixing some references, saying, well, this really belongs over here in this new policy we've created and things like that. But I'm going to walk you guys through the changes here a little bit. All right, so you're going to hear a lot of language tonight, and there's also an information item about this, DEI responsibilities. And so I have pulled a definition for that, and I'm gonna read that to you guys here at the end, and kind of tie this all back together for you. With that diversity, equity, and inclusion responsibilities and prohibited instruction, what they've done here is they added that to reasons teachers could be non-renewed, so they came back and added it to, well, also the superintendent shouldn't be doing that either. Here, they're just updating some reference notes. I can't see that from here, but I think it went from DH to DHA. So a lot more of those kind of cross-reference changes, right? So go ahead, Angela, to the next one. I think it's related to this one. Similar, right? So they've moved DC to DH, okay, DC is the one that now references DHA legal, and they removed the word designee, and now the superintendent is the only one that can establish guidelines for advertising employment opportunities. Very subtle change in language, right? It said superintendent or designee, they just took out the word designee. So here they updated licensed specialist in school psychology and just put school psychologist. So again, they're cleaning things up, making sure language matches legislation and those kind of things.
This is all legal policy, yeah?
It's a mixture of legal and local.
Okay.
So DH series, they've added the Educator Code of Ethics. They took away the title Gifts and Solicitations and just put Educator Code of Ethics there because it covers a larger span of things. Gifts and Solicitations went into policy DHF. And at DH, they adjusted another cross-reference and changed it to that DHA legal. They've done some reorganization about where qualifications go. So here they've moved some principal qualifications from DP local to DPA. They've also moved around some counselor provisions, right? They moved around specifically the 80% rule. That's meaning that school counselors have to spend 80% of their time doing school counseling. We don't have anything about chaplains in our stuff, so that piece does not relate to us, that last bullet point. They deleted the policy on hunter education because that's no longer legally required. And so here, this is another one that has to do with DEI. They've aligned administrative code changes for GT selection. So they're basically saying that you can't look at race or gender or any of those factors and make that part of your criteria for deciding if someone meets criteria for GT. FFF student welfare, again, large push for employee misconduct and making it very clear what should be reported and what has to be reported when. This one is specifically around parent notification if any of these types of misconduct occur. So I did, because of all of the language around DEI, I did want to find a good working definition for you guys. So this comes from policy BT Legal. Diversity, equity, and inclusion duties means influencing hiring or employment practices with respect to race, sex, color, or ethnicity, except as necessary to comply with state or federal anti-discrimination laws. Promoting differential treatment or providing special benefits to individuals on the basis of race, color, or ethnicity. I'm going to paraphrase a little bit here to save you guys some time, but developing or implementing policies or procedures or trainings that reference race, color, ethnicity, gender, identity, or sexual orientation. Compelling or requiring or inducing someone to provide a diversity, equity, and inclusion statement. So those are, when they say DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, that's what they're referencing, just kind of globally, and then you'll see that in several other policies like the GT policy. Do you want me to go ahead and speak on the SB 12 information item, Ms. Smith-Faulkner, that's in there later?
Yes, so, yes, there is a information item, I believe it's 11?
11 or 12?
Yeah, 11, oh, it's 10-1.
10-1.
No, that's not it. Hold on a minute. 10E, report on Senate Bill 12 notification. I think that it's important to kind of know the guidelines and the reporting of that.
Yes. So Senate Bill 12 requires us to notify employees of two major things: that they are not allowed to engage in DEI practices, and that there are certain topics that they should not be teaching or discussing with kids, right? And those specific topics are listed in the law. They're listed in board policy as well. That's a pretty extensive list, and you can kind of imagine what types of topics would be in there in that Senate Bill 12, particularly things that they've said that should be a discussion parents should be having with their own students, not that we as educators should be having, right? So to ensure that we're notifying employees of this, right, there is some additional work that we have to do in that we have to yearly provide notification to the employees. So we will do that at the beginning of the year, every year, to ensure that we're catching as many of the new people as possible, right? And we have to do that notification in writing and electronically. So they'll receive a physical paper copy, and they will receive an email, and it is additionally will be in the revised employee handbook. It's one of the suggested changes that has to be made for the employee handbook. So it will be there as well. And it's just language that says we don't do these things, and there are consequences up to and including termination or non-renewal if you engage in these practices. So the reason I'm telling you about all of this now is because the board has to certify that we've done all of these things that we're supposed to do as it relates to that. So next month, I'm going to bring to you guys a document. It's a template from TEA. TASB's given us some sample language to put in the template. But I will bring that to you, and the board will have to certify that, and we have to send that off to TEA by, I believe it's September 30th. So we have a little bit of wiggle room with that, but I wanted to give you guys some time to look at that and to think through that and to have any questions that you might have about it instead of just bringing that to you next month.
Mr. Jackson, I have a clarifying question. If it is in the employee handbook and everyone electronically signs the employee handbook, does that qualify as the electronic copy?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am. I believe that does.
Okay.
Any questions? Thank you, Mr. Jackson.
Thank y'all. Have a great night.
On to item 9, the consent agenda. At this time, we will consider the consent agenda as presented. Is there a motion? Yes. 9D, actually. A, B, C, D. Is there a motion?
Mr. President, I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Who's second?
Is there any further discussion?
Just to make note that 9D is talking about the student code of conduct is in the consent agenda. That's mainly from my remembrance.
There's also like a stated motion for that.
Is there?
For that.
Okay.
That's
I will
for
amend my motion. Is it enough that I need to amend it?
all of 9 is a consent agenda?
Oh, okay. It is separate.
And there's a recommended motion.
I think, is it that maybe the recommended motion just placed under 9D maybe? Because I don't think it's supposed to be separate. unless we had planned on pulling it. That would be the only thing I can think of. Okay,
It's for everything.
so my motion stands as read, okay.
Is there any further discussion?
Does that meet with your standards too, since you brought it up, Linda?
Yeah, that's fine. Just want to make sure we're covered.
Right,
I know we need this to start school, so.
right.
Hearing nothing else, please indicate your vote. Motion carries 7-0. Now on to information items. Do we have anybody here from 10B? No, okay.
Unless we would like to go to 10P or board policy to continue our discussion
We got the
and talk about that
So
policy, adding that policy. If you'll lead that conversation, Mr. President.
tax collection report. Working by, which one?
10P.
10P. Placement, sure. Let's jump down to 10P. Okay, anything else? I just want to remember to hit the calendar.
Oh, that's at the end.
Okay,
That's a
Good.
discussion.
yeah.
So basically asking about, does the board want data? And do we want to look at adding the policy, correct? I don't know that we had a policy number. I'd have to go back
I
and
think
look.
at this point, what I would like to recommend that we look at our discipline data and I provide it to you. And then also I would like to request that Mr. Jackson talks to the APs and kind of get some feedback on them of how much time they spend this, and then look at see if we have the paperwork of what something like this would look like, if they have any templates for us. Do we have to develop this? Do we have to get with the attorneys? You know, what all is going to entail on what we're actually completing? And just think of a time and provide a time commitment of what they're thinking, okay? And that way I can turn that information over to Dewey with the data, and then you guys can look at it at a workshop to see what you think.
And also, what would that policy
Look like, it would have to,
Because TEA will provide.
They'll have a sample one, I'm
and where it
sure.
would have to fall under.
Yeah. I'm
So
sure
we'd
there's
probably
a
have to get with
sample one
TASB
out there
about that.
somewhere that somebody has already looked at.
Well, my understanding was that TEA has to provide it if we decide
Yeah.
to have it.
So they would provide it to TASB, and TASB would, since they actually create that, usually the board policy for us, so it goes through several, it will go through several people, but they might already have something they've already provided TASB from TEA is what I'm thinking. So I would just like to have some time to gather feedback and data to give to you, so that you guys have that to look at.
And I think the point that Mr. Jackson made was we have so much already in place for parent partnership that I'm not worried about us not taking action right now, but I am very committed to making sure that we do come back and visit that. Thank you.
If we could get through the first part of school and get school started,
We'll have no
and
kids
then
then.
we can circle back around about I have information on board workshop dates that I have. We had to take one off already, and we'll see if we can have that data before a workshop.
On to item board key dates, 11A, workshop date. We need to find something that works for everybody.
Actually, if you look at 11B, you'll see that I had Angela pull it from here and put, if you look at the agenda, there was an August 31st that was provided earlier, an October 19th, a February 22nd, and a March 29th to work around school events that we're all attending or any type of testing dates. And so we did get feedback on August 31st would not be a good date for everyone. So that takes us to October 19th, February 22nd, and March 29th as, I think that when we went to Lone Star Governance, we said 4 to 3 different workshops. And so I looked at the calendar and it provided them earlier, like in March or April. And so I had Angela today pull those out and put them on the agenda so you could, to me, it's a little easier to see it that way. And then I think we've already decided that the August 24th date will not work. And we will get back and, yes, I believe that we had a board member that will not be able to be there. And that will be one, like a team of 8 type of, everybody needs to be there at this particular one according to Mr. Eichelbaum.
Yeah.
Okay. So I will get, or Dewey, if you want me to, or if you get with Dennis to see if there's another date.
I'm going to go ahead and ask now, earliest dates you're available, so we can try to nail this down.
For me, it'll just depend on if Leah makes the volleyball team, to be real honest. I mean, I don't know what school holds for us this year.
Sure. So I'm talking anytime in August or as late as middle of September?
I think this was the first date for Mr. Eichelbaum.
Yeah.
And so maybe he needs to give us some of his
You're
dates.
right. I forgot about that.
And kind of go around that. Is there, one thing that he did ask, is there a preferred, is Monday the preferred date? Or is there any, Monday? Okay. All right. Having him start the 19th, and then I can talk to, I have a presentation for you tonight about what I've been working on for you all for Lone Star Governance, and so perhaps we could use part of that time with our attorney and part of it on Lone Star Governance on the comprehensive needs assessment. I think you're gonna like what I've put together for you in your Canvas course.
Back to key dates, is anybody doing the TASB convention?
I don't know, I was just looking at the dates. I can let you know. What time we did last year?
Maybe.
I feel like that's one I went to San Antonio, Houston last year.
Sure.
No, this is Houston. I feel like that's where I went last year.
Yeah.
Do we know when early registration ends?
It's on the other sheet right here. It's September 15th. Give it a while.
What are the dates again?
October 8th through the 11th. It's on the bottom of our calendar for July. I know, I'm like, who wants to go to Houston? Complaining about where it is. Yeah, we went down there for a water conference with Sean, and I was like, ugh, it's
Yeah.
so gross down here.
It is, it just
Yeah,
needs to be updated.
it does need an update. There's hardly anything around there to do, like it's so.
Anybody with any definites? No's or yeses? Okay, that's a maybe.
Oh, maybe.
Three maybes, 4 maybes. Yeah. Okay. Okay. You got convocation on August 3rd? 8:30 a.m.
What about the new teacher breakfast?
Yes,
So it's usually
and
go to
yes,
that.
but believe it or not, new teacher breakfast, I believe, the 29th and the 30th.
If we can. I did
Maybe.
last year, Mary, we went to lunch last year. Don't we usually go to those two, Mary? We went to lunch. That's what we did.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I did too.
I believe that the barbecue, Charlie Guerin will be providing barbecue on Thursday, is that right? Ms. Walker? Mr. Guerin is providing barbecue on the second day? Okay, yes.
Breakfast 29. Should we go again? Let's go do it. Yes.
Have they reached back out to us, Ms.? Yeah, if they want to serve it. Okay. If they don't, we have some other volunteers that we can, if they're busy.
School board, be out there serving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great idea.
You can-
We did ice cream one time.
I can do Thursday, I can't do Wednesday.
I remember dipping that ice cream.
Yep.
You
Also,
got-
the pep rally vendor
Yeah.
hall, on the 10th, we're having kind of like a little soft opening. So the teachers will go up the library steps and get to go down the hallway and experience the new library. The new cafe will be open with coffee samples. Then in the connector, we will have the city of River Oaks and Sansom Park. I don't know about Nothing But Cakes. I don't know who. WRA, BTC, they will have big booths in that area, and then you'll walk on down. We have opened up the vendor hall to, if you saw it on social media, and we had 9 people just instantly sign up, plus our vendors are signing up. So it's going to be kind of like a sneak peek of part of the area that is open. So it's going to be a very different and exciting. I think our teachers will get to see some of the new portions. So please pass that along. And you're going to have to get your safari clothes ready because it is your Lead Your Learning Safari. And so we're all going to be leading our learning and coming prepared. And I understand we'll have lots of competition is what I've heard. So, yes. Uh-huh. Okay. So I think it's going to be, with the grand opening and so many community people participating, I think it's going to be a great opportunity for them to see all the work that's been going on behind all that dirt work. Yeah.
And the community loves it.
The vendor hall is primarily focusing on our teachers, right? It's for the
So,
staff.
well, the vendor hall, yes. So, for example, Sansom Park always likes to pop popcorn and have
Like, I know that our church
Cookies.
participates also, like,
Yes.
they give away like. margarita
anything that
and-
teachers might use to benefit students. Like, I believe Girls Inc. will be there. The Youth Vantage Alliance will be there, able to, if I'm a teacher and I want to ask more questions about what does this program offer, like our reading partners could possibly have a table, local vendors who teachers could use to make T-shirts or just anything that has our brand on it. We need to invite them. I have the letter. So I can forward the letter that we sent out if you have, like, I would love to see TCU there. Because if we have teachers that want to work on their master's degree, their doctorate degree, I would love for them to be able to, we can't always leave and have time to go seek those things out, but it's a great opportunity that we can advertise for those things. So the benefit is twofold. I think that is, how about threefold? What are we offering our students that teachers or employees can ask more about? Number 2 also is let them kind of see what are we offering and to be part of the big kickoff for the new school year. And so I think it's a two-way street as far as allowing them also to come in and see our new facility. So I just think that there's a lot of reasons for that. It's not, and we always tie in the theme of why are we doing Lead Your Learning Safari. So we're trying to take all the professional learning that they're doing and hit our priorities in a skit. And there is a reason that we do it for fun, but we're also very strategic, as I think you heard Stephanie say, about what particular things we're including in that. And again, our students for band will be able to be part of it, and our cheerleaders. So it's just a great way for everyone to come together to kick off.
I think one thing that I love about it is that all throughout the year, when the kids come and present, they all mention the theme for the
Yes.
year. So,
Very purposeful.
now, we is it, leadership?
Lead Your Learning Safari, because we're all going to do goal setting on our student-led conferences. So it's how do you lead and own your own learning? And it can be a jungle out there as you're trying to make these new decisions about CTE. So very purposeful, and it goes with the book. I hope you guys have had an opportunity to at least listen to the book, because it's a leadership book. Don't let the title, the AI part, don't let that confuse you or kind of be closed-minded about it, because it's really about being the leader of it and not AI leading you, but you leading AI. And so it's all tied together. So, hope you all can be there. Will you let Angela know if you're going to be there, because we announce you and we want to be sure that we do that. And if you're going to be on stage for convocation, please let us know so that we're preparing the seats and everything. Lenny's getting all the stage ready so that we have everything organized. And I will forward you the vendor hall so that you have that letter.
I'm on to 12A. Establish next meeting Monday.
11B. I have a discussion there.
The Lone Star Government, oh, sorry,
Yes.
I thought we already touched on it.
No,
My
no, no, I
apologies.
got more. So I'm gonna need
Sorry.
because you have a Canvas course, so if Miss Kelso would come, I did some work, because I discussed the fact that I wanted to take the needs assessment and bring to you, so the whole idea of adding the workshops, I think the direction that I received after the Lone Star governance training was, hey, we have this needs assessment. We talked about how do we begin to build and be a master at where we said our needs assessment, what it indicated. And so I've been thinking about this for some time. And if you log into your Canvas course, you will see that on the left-hand side, and if you can make that a little bigger for old people like me, Miss Kelso, you'll see that we have added on the left side the Lone Star governance vision and goals. And so we'll give you time to log in if you want to log into your Canvas course.
Oh, I remember this.
Yes. And if you need help logging in, just let us know. And just a reminder that all the board updates that I give you are linked in here for your reference. It goes back to previous years. And so when all of those are in here, linked for you. Because I gather information, and I copy it over and provide that for you. So I'll go ahead with the Lone Star governance. And what this is, so why Jacob's helping Miss Martinez. In the book, we paired up in pairs or three, and we completed a comprehensive needs assessment. Does this look familiar to you guys? It's in your book. And so what we did is we copied all of the needs assessment rubrics. And if you go down the left side, Ms. Kelso, will you just show them that as you go down the left side, you can see all of the various pages? Okay, that's fine. So we'll just go to the first one. She's built it with all of the frameworks for me. So let's go back. This is one page that is one goal. So we would have all of these goals is going to be a single page for you, because I'm going to provide evidence for you to look at the needs assessment and say, oh, here's the evidence. What do we, and then at the bottom, when we have our workshop, don't move up yet, Kelly. When we have our workshop, what's the next steps that at our next workshop we want to work on to get to the master's focus, but we have to go through the needs assessment first. And so what we have is the rubric. And within the rubric, we looked at when we met as a team, and I wrote down as much as I could remember, but this is also for you to give input on before we move forward. I thought that we would, I did the first one because I think that's the group that I was with. And so the rubric reads that in vision and goals, number 1, it says the board has adopted student outcome goals. And then if we are does not meet focus, then we would have stopped at the first column on the left. But if we're able to go through this and we think we have met all of in 1, and then we've met some of the column 2, we check it off. If we've met column 3, we check off what we can. And then where we stop is where we decide what's the next step to become a master's focus and that's where I'm saying you probably don't need someone from Lone Star Governance because we kind of did the work. It's us as a team says, where do we want to go next? What do we think is the most important thing to tackle? Because you can't tackle all of these. So what I did is I went to number 1 and I said, I'm going to break it down. The first column, so Ms. Kelso, we checked what we have the evidence for. So if you will go down the page, basically we took the rubric and does not meet. Here are the individual pieces. It says the board does not have a vision. Well, we can check we have a vision because this is the vision. Inspire, empower, and innovate. It's in your board operating procedures. It's 3 words. And then the next part says the board does not have goals. Well, if you click the House Bill 3 goals, here are your goals. And that day we worked on those goals. You have 3 goals. You have an early literacy, an early numeracy, and you have your CCMR goal. And we progress monitor that all throughout the year. You get it beginning of year, middle of year, and end of year. And so those are your 3 goals. And notice there's 5-year, annual increments.
Jacob.
So you can unclick out of that, Kelly, and go back to the next one. And then the last part of column 1 is, remember we talked about inputs and outputs and outcome. So what I did is I quickly brainstormed the inputs that we have for these various areas. If you could make that bigger, Kelly, please, so we can read. Okay. So it asked if we have the inputs and the outputs and the outcomes. And so for inputs, I've defined it, and one of them was the budget. And so what I did is I said on House Bill 3, on literacy, what have we done for the budget? You have grants, you have Rainwater Foundation, you have Reading Partners, we have title funds, we have teacher incentive allotment aligned to STAR-tested areas. These are all things extra in the budget. Then you go to staff positions. We have purposefully staffed campus academic leaders who are dedicated to RLA and math in elementary. We have elementary, secondary, RLA, ELA coordinator. We have 1 elementary RLA coach, 2 secondary. We have reading interventionists. We have elementary, secondary math coordinators. We have a CTE director, CTE coach, CCMR advisor, CCMR. Do you see I took your goals and where we put our money? So for the budgeting process, you staff these people either this or through a grant. So then the teacher salaries. If you look at UEA, we're one of the most competitive. Technology, we have K-1. Our facilities, you have a bond in your energy, modernization funding. Instructional materials, through a grant, we fund a way to assess those goals. Through calendar, you have an additional day calendar that we have intervention for those goals. We have the 21st Century Grant for those goals. So all I did was very quickly list the things that either you adopt or is provided through a grant, because our focus is the budget goes to where the priorities, and the priorities are your goals. So we plan very focused on looking for how can we fund your goals so we can meet them. And then the outputs. This is straight from the book. What are some of the outputs? I didn't put as much time. Teachers complete the science of reading training, and new teachers will complete it. We've been through TXRL, science of reading. Elementary students receive 30 minutes of response to intervention. Principals conduct walkthroughs. Campus academic leaders, coaches model lessons. Students will complete a MIRA and receive monthly progress reports. Those are just a few that are aligned. And then your outcomes. How do we check the outcomes? You have STAR preliminary board presentations. You have the superintendent's scorecard. You have your House Bill 3 goals. Those are all evidence. And what I think is we do things and we're not sure what the why we're doing these things. And here's the evidence that aligns with the rubric. It's all for you to look at. I'm providing it because it directly aligns to are we meeting, does not meet. We have all the criteria. You have done a good job of ensuring that we have these adopted. If you look at the second column, it says preparing to focus. The board has adopted a vision. There's your vision. Next, the board has owned the vision. I clicked the strategic plan committee. This was when the board and the community members signed in and they worked on the vision and the mission in the Irma Marsh Library, and these are the people that worked on that, and it was adopted with school board members part of it. And so that is the document that shows that it was collaboratively produced. So I'm just giving you the evidence. So if you're checking the comprehensive needs assessment, where's the evidence that I know it happened? We're being transparent. Okay, so Ms. Kelso, then the other question in the rubric says the board has owned the goal. Well, you adopted the 3 goals, adjusted in October 6th of 2025 at your school board meeting. So if you look at column 2, preparing to focus, I think you can check off column 1, column 2, and then you go to approaches focus. Those are all the scorecards that you have. If you'll, Kelly, click the House Bill 3 goals, you can answer these questions. Is there a population? Yes, 3rd grade students. Is there a 5-year deadline? Yes, if you look at 2026, 2027, 28, 29, and 30, you have established measurements. You have a baseline for what month and year you want these things to accomplish. We just finished our first year of our 3rd grade literacy goal. And annual targets. What are each year of those 5 years, what's our target? And then annual student group targets. If you'll close out of this, who are the 2 targets? We're looking at SPED, and we're also looking at the DIP retesters. And so here you'll see that our SPED goal is 3%. It comes directly on my scorecard. I monitor it, and it's also the district improvement plan performance objective, measurable objectives. If you look, the retesters on June 1st, 2025, we had 430 retesters. On June 1st, 2026, out of that same group, we had 57 left. That is incredible targeted interventions for those students. So it's your way of saying, if I am governing ourselves and we're measuring where we are, I have provided the very specific data for you to be able to say yes. That doesn't mean they might not need to be updated. We know CCMR is going to have to change. These are always dynamic in nature, and depending on the student scores and the official A through F accountability, we always go back and look at them. We will recommend if we need to make adjustments. These are not mine. These are the school boards. This is how I monitor where we are. If you look at meets focus, it says all board members and the superintendent agree that I did not check this except for one of them. Because I feel this is where in the board workshop, you will need to give input. Do we feel, because I can't provide the evidence, all board members and the superintendent agree that the student outcome goals will challenge the organization, require adult behavior change, are influenceable, and are the first priority. I treat your goals as the first priority. I recommend hiring and staffing on your priorities. And then the root cause analysis, I can check that because we have the comprehensive needs assessment, Ms. Kelso, and the district improvement plan has problem statements. And what did we work on? During the retreat, we looked at student data and we did our comprehensive needs assessment. And it's there. There's our problem statements. So we are continuously going through this process, but I'm like, okay, if I give you the documents that show the process and the progress, then that gives you the talking points about next steps. To be a master's focus, I thought this was interesting. All board members and the superintendent have committed to the vision and student outcome goals by memory. To memory. I thought, well, I can't quote them exactly from memory, but pretty darn close. And know the current status of each student outcome goal. So, Ms. Kelso, if you will click the outcomes, I believe that you see the outcomes for this year and what the outcomes are for the future years. It is very clear that here's your outcomes for this year. And we have a guardrail at the bottom. We did just complete this. Your guardrail was the attendance rate will increase from 92.8 to 95. Well, this year we just submitted PEIMS. It's 93.8. We've increased our attendance rate. So here's all the data, and we agree there is broad community ownership of the board's vision. This is where I think we can improve. How does our community know we're working towards the goals and what achievement we're having towards these goals, such as tonight? You had a presentation for people to what? They can watch the board presentation. And how do we as a team of 8 ensure our community knows what we're working on and where are we on the progress? So this was only one. I think there's 8 or 9 of these rubrics. But I wanted to take the time to do one and provide the data so that we can, as a team, when we do our workshop, do these and give input on, is this where we are? And then at the end, I added next steps. And then once we review this, what do we agree upon are the next steps in this particular rubric for vision and goal 1? I can go on beforehand and do goal 2 because it's very similar. It's the same, it's basically the same data because it shows progress measures. You've adopted a goal and we have the progress measures for each year. So I hope this makes it clear, and I haven't checked anything because I only wanted to check what I could provide the evidence for you and what we discussed in our training. So that becomes, we can make this a paper copy, we can do whatever. So during the board workshop, what I heard is we wanted to look at our needs assessment, where did we land, and then as a team, what's the next important step? Because are we at preparing, are we at approaches? Because you don't get from approaches to masters. You get from approaches and go, what are we going to work on meets intentionally? This is what we do when we do our DIP. This is what we do during the retreat. This is what we do when we do our needs assessment and our data progress monitoring. It's the same process. And I think, Linda, you've been through this a million times also. So just give me feedback. Do you like the data I've provided? Because it's your data to review where you want us to go to next. I figured if I can provide the data for you to look at, and I can't do it on all of them because some of them we don't have any. We're like at 0. And we discovered that we're at 0. So we might want to make some targets for during workshop. We want to establish these 3 things this year. Then next year, do your needs assessment again. What 3 things, where do we feel we need to move? I think I love it. I think it's a great tool, and I think that it will allow us to all focus together and choose the next steps based on where we feel we can check off. So feedback, how do you feel about this? But the dates are here. I think these are the dates we could begin to work on this process. This is what I got from the training that our next steps were. If I missed it, please let me know.
I think this is a lot of information. I was under the impression that we would have this discussion that you're asking us to have now at the workshop, at the first workshop.
I just did one. I just did one sample because this one we checked. Like during our governance, Lone Star governance, this was the easiest one to check. So I just went ahead and gave you the data. Because during workshop, we need to say, here's the data, what do we think? I just kind of front-loaded it because you use this data all the time, but when you look at the others, there is no, we couldn't even check very many of them. Most of them were if I remember correctly, there was a lot of does not meet. So I think we go back to the needs assessment, we do our checks, and if there's evidence, I can put it in there for you so you can decide, do we start over? Is it the evidence we want? It's what we've been working on. But it can always be changed. I'm just providing you what you have. And how are your board meetings established? Your board meetings are focused on that's how we make the agenda for the year, based on that data, providing it to you. You get the DIP, you get your House Bill 3 goals, your progress mark, just like tonight. Tonight was basically, we finally got our data. We're going to present it to you as soon as we get preliminary data. It will change a little when? On A through F accountability. It will change 1 or 2 points. Then I will be sure that is updated. So I provided, because if you're like me, I've slept. I'm like, when was that time that we all came together? And it was basically the strategic plan. And it was when you did the vision and you might want to say, hey, we want to start over. I'm just giving you what I'm operating off of as the superintendent.
And that mission and vision was when Mr. Ramos was here, right? When Dr. Ramos was still here?
Right when he was leaving, we were in the process and we had this meeting.
Yeah.
And we had all the community there. And so I think that we kept moving forward because, I don't know, there were 30, 35 community people there.
Yeah, I was there. I remember that.
Yes. But it could be time that y'all decide you want to do something different.
Potentially, right? And I think that's the thing. I think for me, it's more about, to your point, I've slept since then, so I may not remember every detail, but I do think it's about building some consensus around, like, what do we see as, like, what boxes do we check collectively, right? Like, it's one thing this is pretty straightforward, right? But there's gonna be some places, to your point, where we have a little more consensus building, so maybe I think it's a yes and you think it's a no, or vice versa, right? So I think I just need to revisit it. I don't know that it's fresh in my mind, but I do think that us being able to calibrate as a team and then to really revisit and say, is what we did X number of years back still right?
And I think that's the next steps, like, go through it and say, well, next year and this year, we want to revisit, we want to get a strategic plan, we want to get a committee, and let's put the date a year from now that we're going to have the meetings. And then we'll have to change all of that. I would say keep the vision and move on with it, maybe a vision. a mission. But so I'm giving you the data, now what do you want to do? I'm giving you the evidence of what I'm operating off of based on what I have been provided and what we have adopted. This is how, this is what we do every day. We focus back to these goals and the DIP that you approve and you adopt. Everything we do is measurable, and I hold all administrators, you can ask Whitney and Scott and Stephanie, what do you do during progress monitoring? You have to tell me where you are, and we make adjustments and action. And our subgroups, who are the big retesters weren't doing well. Sped, we RDA, so it's a goal, and we're seeing progress, because we can only intentionally target so much. You want me to target something else based on the data, we adjust.
I just want to comment that this was the start that we needed to really be able to do this, because we sat there saying, do we have this? Where is it at? Finding it. So I mean, this is a great start. Lots of data, yes. Trying to look through it would be helpful. A lot of it is binary, so it's either we do or we don't. And so this is just a great place to start and give the time toward the workshop of the more subjective ones of like, I mean, when you look all the way on meets focus, like, do we have goals that will challenge? Like, what does that look like? What does challenge look like? Is it a quantitative metric? Is it a like, all of those different things. But at least the binary pieces of it and all the spaces that we're mostly in are pretty clear.
And that's why we didn't check that during the meeting. We didn't, because that definitely needs to be a discussion, because we didn't get time to discuss that. So I said, I can give you your House Bill 3 goals. I can say when you adopted it. I can say when people, whether we agree with it or not, that's for us to discuss. That's to be determined. I'm just giving you the evidence and what we work off of every day.
Here are all the resources and the tools, and then we have to make decisions based on. So you just, basically gave us all of the, what's in the toolbox, right? Now we're gonna use that to build whatever we wanna build next with that.
If we want to move to, be masters focus, we want to increase from where our score was, because we looked at our score and went, there's areas, and then decide which one do you want to tackle.
Right.
Because we might want to keep something because we find out we really need to go back to and move everything that does not meet to prepared. Instead of taking one that you can check off 3 columns,
Right.
which direction, you tell, I'm at the point that we've got this down in our routines. What direction do I go from here?
Yeah, where do we wanna put our eyes?
Yes.
Yeah. And I think that's the key. And I think that takes some conversation, some collaboration. Because I do think we all need to be pulling in the same direction, right? And not have 500 things, right? That's not it. So what are the key pieces we want to focus on? But we have to make that decision as a collective group, I think.
So all I did was provide anything that was factual evidence.
Right.
And I'm not checking anything that we have to make a decision about. Like, I don't know if we have memory. I just know that I provide you the outcome. It's in a board meeting, so we have it. But, we know we're going to have to change CCMR. We're probably going to have to change. There's a new test, a STAR test. We got to have a baseline year to figure out where does the new accountability go. We're going to have to change. Those House Bill 3 goals will not be good.
Right.
They're all going to have to change.
Right.
Because we'll have to have a baseline year to move forward. Where are we?
And I think we have to remember that this is a governance tool. How is this tool going to help us govern effectively? So I would like to propose also that we have a governance vision statement that kind of maybe even leads us on how we're moving forward. I don't know how we can have both of them, but what's our vision as in governing? Is that for this tool, or would that be something different?
Is that your board operating procedures? Because I think there's a vision for the board in there. Maybe that needs to be addressed.
It could be.
Because it looks really old to me. It may be outdated.
But it's never really about a governance vision. It's usually tied to the district's vision, which is
No,
the
there were two.
same.
I think there are 2 in there, Ms. Coleman, because
Is
I was
there?
shocked, because
Okay,
I
well, I'll go
hate
back and-
saying this out loud, but I really didn't know it until I went back, I wonder
I'll go
when
back
this
and
was
look, 'cause
written.
I was thinking that we
Yeah,
didn't.
there were 2 in there. One was the district and one was another one.
Okay. Well, I'll look and make sure.
I think it's worth visiting.
But I think that's what helps me understand this document, is this is our governance tool.
And maybe that part of your board operating procedures can be updated. Because at one time it was effective. And now that you have evidence and I think we all understand when this is being done, why we're doing these things, why do we have these House Bill 3 goals? Well, legally we have to. That was explained to us.
Right. And I think what Ms. Gallman's referring to is, it says, agree that there is a broad community ownership of the board's vision.
Yes.
So what is that vision? Right. What is that collective vision, right?
Is there a
So,
vision statement?
right.
Because
is it the
this is
same
what
one?
I operate off of.
Right.
I mean, every decision I tie, or every action, we ground it in these goals and measure it and use the vision. So if that's not where the board wants to go, I can certainly understand there'd be frustration, because I'm thinking I'm running where I need to go,
Right.
and there might be board members going, we want to redo that.
And I don't know that we're saying that's not right. I think it's the lens through which we're approaching it. We're approaching through the governance lens. You're approaching it through the instructional execution
Yes.
lens.
I'm running.
So, again, you are 100% right. Run with it. We're just saying, how do we adapt that vision to make a governance vision for us so that it's not your baton, it's our baton?
So if you go up above onto board operating procedures, you click on that, click on the link, go to page 2. It's a long list. I'm not going to read it all. That's it. That's our shared values and vision regarding student outcomes.
Right, not necessarily governance.
Yeah.
Right.
Then
A
it
good
goes,
start,
then it
because-
goes down to CSD mission and strategic goals.
Yeah. Go up
And
one
then it goes down to a strategic plan.
is above our, I guess I could look it up.
Then if you go to page 5, it's strategic goals and objectives. Excuse me.
I think the other part of this that I'm like trying to remember, because that was a long time ago and I've slept since then. But I would think the other part that I think I get hung up on when we were doing this governance, this Lone Star governance piece, was collectively, like we collectively came together with that. So I think that's the other place I'm kind of leaning into, Dewey. Like, I get we have this, but we didn't collectively
It can
put
be
that
changed.
together. And so just like, how do we build something that this board collectively can come to consensus with? Because I think that's going to anchor everything else we do from there forward. So, yeah, that's one thing
And I
that.
think it's outdated, like,
It
I'm
is.
looking at it and it's a little outdated with the new legislative things that are coming, like, it would, like I said earlier, it served well when it was created, and I think that we have a lot of work ahead of us, because, you know, when you dig into one thing, it opens up, well, we need to go do this before we can even address new goals. You know, so all I'm saying is I'm giving the evidence of what I can provide, and then anything that I can't, that is a decision that can't be checked, well, that's to discuss. And I think that we have to write a plan on what is our steps. We're not even really able to check the boxes of where we can check where we are, but this is gonna tell us, we need to go back to operating procedures, and that first page isn't anything about what I work off of.
Right.
Is that where y'all need to be working?
Right.
And I just have a wondering about that, because it seems like it's not in the governance realm of things. And I think that we need help with that.
Right.
Just establishing that, so that we're all on our own path and not getting crossways.
Right. Well, and I think the other part that we talked a lot about was that day was around a lot of data, right? Look at the list. It's comprehensive. We don't need all that. Like, there's no way for us to keep a pulse on all of that. You have to, and you should, absolutely, and y'all should too. I'm just kidding. Everybody should, right? But we shouldn't, right? So I think that was the thing, like, how do we come to consensus and say, these are the 3 top things that we're gonna keep eyes on? And that way you know exactly what's our pulse, where are our fingers on the pulse, instead of like, you're having to update 15, you're still doing it, it's just not going to be something that we are going to be completely on top of, right? Unless we need to dig a little deeper, but that's not gonna be every time.
Right, and I think that, because we use my scorecard now, I have the middle school and the high school, like, we're just adopting your scorecard because we love it, because very easily we can see during progress monitoring. However, I provide it to you just so that you know I have a pulse on it because the questions you ask during a board meeting sometimes indicates you're wondering if I have a pulse on it. So it's really me reacting to your questions to show you, hey, yes, we have a pulse on it, but I think we're past that, and you can just say, I can just show you the scorecard when I say, yes, this is where we are in a general term, but this is where I got the information from. So I think the questions at the board have generated me to provide data, and that's why I said this is plain to me, because it says, this is the data it's telling us to look at, and here we are beginning to focus on this. And so it helps me every once in a while go, oh no, I need to focus on these.
And it will drive our agendas on, is our agenda more operational or is it more governance? And so I think that this is a little operational.
And, well, 60% of your agenda needs to be talking about this, just like
Student
tonight.
achievement.
That's why I said this is the longest part, and the other part, you still need to do it, but been counting minutes for the last year, and we have moved. If you've noticed, everything that we start with is instructional. And I'm working really hard to do, because then we need to time it, because part of it is timing it. So I've provided it, I have the dates, I just need direction.
I would still like to suggest that we have a really good workshop discussion about this to make sure that we all understand what you're saying, instead of maybe at the end of the meeting.
I think let's do on our workshop, I would recommend that Mr. Eichelbaum speak at on the 19th if it's not too late, and that I print all the paperwork and walk you through number one, and we all agree. And then we can probably check some things off, but we need to go through it all before we decide where the next steps are, which is gonna take a year. I would say it's gonna take you a year to get through everything.
I don't know, the information's here.
It's a lot to go through.
Right,
Ms.
but
Kelso?
a lot of it's operational.
Ms. Kelso? Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's the same one in your books. So I think we all checked in our books what we did. So we have a start, I just took the starting
And I
point.
need that book. I never did get that book.
Angela, do you have Ms. Gallman's book, her governance book? This book that we did our training
I
on?
don't think they left one.
Ms. Carter,
You did, or you will? Okay, I'll look. I haven't seen it.
we may need to check with Ms. Carter.
Anyway, this is the same copy. Right. This electronic copy is the same thing in the book.
Okay, okay.
Thanks, Kelly. And we can put the links of the documents y'all have approved, so you have, just give me, a little time, like each month, maybe I can then do one of them. But
Do you have enough feedback, or do you need more from us?
I think that if you will say, and I am gonna say, once you get to, like, the third one, we were a 2, we were a 0, we were a 1, there's not gonna be a whole lot, because that's what we graded ourselves. I wrote down what we graded ourselves, so I can pre-do what we graded ourselves, unless you wanna go through the process again.
It might be a good baseline.
To just pre-do.
Or is that redoing?
Because I have I wrote down where we came up.
Yeah, and I think we've done some of that groundwork. I don't think it makes sense for us to go back and redo. I think we can revisit and just calibrate at that point. But I think starting from scratch would be kind of not the best use of our time. It's my
If we
opinion.
revisit it, then that
Yeah.
brings me in.
Absolutely.
And
And I don't want to.
like I said, now that I'm rethinking it, there's not gonna be a lot of data, like the constraints, we don't have
Exactly.
any.
We talked about guardrails, we
Yeah.
talked about, so I think there's some other places for us to lean into. I don't know that would be like the best place for us to use our time. We have other places.
So I will go ahead and pre-populate what I can.
Yeah,
I'll try to get so that you have this to look through before the 19th.
yeah, perfect.
And at the end of the next board meeting, I'll tell you what work we've done. It's a lot of work, but I really think the upfront work is just gonna make the end result better.
Yeah, I feel like it's almost it is our responsibility. And just one more thing, since we were talking about the operating procedure, when we first did our operating procedures, we were one of the very first schools in Texas to even have one. So we were very proud for that. There's still some schools who don't have them.
Well, I see that if we do this process, we will get to meet, we will be able to move towards where you want to be.
12A, establish next meeting, Monday, August 17th, for a regular board meeting. Ma'am?
I called in a question to you this morning. Graduation. No. Do you remember?
I did. It had to do, let's go with, trying to remember what I.
Where you put it? I don't even know where we're having it. She said, I don't even know where we're having it yet. No, it has nothing to do with that. Can I just
Trying
ask?
to find an agenda item,
Yeah, it has to be on the agenda.
yeah.
We can discuss it next
We
time.
can have that, a small discussion right after that, right after this. Item 13, I move we adjourn. Hearing no objection, we stand adjourned at 9:02 PM.